July 19, Boston's Gillette Stadium. Coldplay is mid-intro when the kiss cam zeroes in on astronomer CEO Andy Byron and HR chief Kristin Cabot. The hug that flashes on the Jumbotron lasts barely 15 seconds, but its aftershock is lethal. By the time the stadium lights come up, astronomers' board phones are buzzing with investor fury, and overnight an emergency session forces Cabot to resign, effective immediately. Staff wake to an all-hands memo. The head of human resources, the person meant to police workplace ethics, has stepped down amid, quote, conduct inconsistent with company values. As news of Cabot's fall spreads, speculation shifts to Megan Kerrigan. Friends hint she's satisfied but not surprised, viewing the resignation as the first domino in a much larger reckoning. Rumor has it her private group chat lit up with a single line, "One down." Whether that's catharsis or a warning shot, insiders can't say, but the consensus is clear. Megan believes losing a title won't erase the receipts she's ready to unleash next. And with Cabot out, astronomers' moral firewall is gone, leaving Andy Byron more exposed than ever. While X battled dueling apologies, Megan played a quieter game, surgical, deliberate, lethal. At 2:03 a.m., her Facebook bio shed Byron like old snakeskin. 5 minutes later, the account vanished altogether. Instagram followed, leaving behind only a faint Google Cache ghost that eagle-eyed fans screen-captured in disbelief. No crying face emojis, no cryptic quotes, just a clean digital amputation after 12 years of marriage. Word leaked that she'd retained a white shoe divorce attorney and moved back to her family's main cottage, far from Silicon Valley's spin cycle. Sympathy hashtags detonated. Hashtag support Megan. Hashtag Coldplay widow. Hashtag justice for Kerrigan. Yet Megan stayed dark, letting the absence speak louder than any press conference. And tucked inside her lawyer's Dropbox sat 3 folders marked Travel, Finance, and HR, proof collected long before the stadium spotlight. Because deleting a surname was only the first domino, the evidence she'd been stockpiling was now primed to topple everything Andy Byron once called unbreakable. At 2:17 a.m., a grainy spreadsheet surfaced on Reddit's r/TechT, columns of Uber trips stamped with Kristin Cabot's apartment address, perfectly overlapping Andy Byron's conference itineraries. 30 minutes later, Slack screenshots leaked, late-night pings reading, "Need to de-stress after that demo. You free?" Followed by the telltale reply, "Room 722 again." TikTok detectives stitched the evidence into forensic mini-docs, overlaying hotel invoices, badge swipe data, and LinkedIn selfies until the timeline looked airtight. Hashtags mutated from hashtag Coldplaygate to hashtag Room 722, then hashtag receipts on repeat as each new drop reignited the blaze. Even skeptical finance bros conceded the breadcrumbs lined up too cleanly to ignore. Astronomers' PR inbox overflowed, but the company stayed silent, and silence felt like confirmation. Meanwhile, Reddit sleuths teased a looming Phase 2 dump, promising board meeting minutes and HR complaint logs that could dwarf the hug itself. Because once a scandal evolves from rumor to time-stamped documentation, it stops being gossip and starts becoming a corporate autopsy, and Megan Kerrigan's evidence folders were nowhere near empty. Receipts gave the internet its smoking gun. Disgruntled staff supplied the ammunition. Within hours of the hashtag Room 722 drop, former astronomer engineers flooded Blind and Glassdoor with stories that made Silicon Valley gossip look tame. One post, titled "Brilliant Product, Brutal Leadership," described 19 rehearsal demo run-throughs and 3 a.m. Slack pings marked urgent. Another leaked screenshot showed a private Slack room, hashtag stay till it ships, where Byron color-coded employees' green dot status to shame anyone who went offline before midnight. A year-old video clip resurfaced, Andy pacing a conference room, preaching radical candor, then berating a junior dev over a 2-pixel misalignment. Viewed through the new lens of kiss cam karma, the clip went feral on TikTok, stitching side by side with Byron's stadium duck and cover. Inside Astronomer, morale cratered. Employees renamed the internal wiki Astronomer After Dark, cataloging every ignored harassment complaint and unprocessed overtime request dating back years. Investors began dialing board members for an off-the-books pulse check, while recruiters pounced on LinkedIn profiles with subject lines like Had enough late-night pings? The through line became impossible to ignore. A CEO who flinched under arena lights had cultivated a culture powered by fear, sleep deprivation, and optics over substance. And if the watchdog for that culture, the head of HR, was caught on kiss cam, who was left to police the watchdog? HR is supposed to be the moral firewall, the team that tells everyone else, not on my watch. At Astronomer, that firewall just burst into flames. Within 48 hours of the kiss cam clip, the board quietly placed Kristin Cabot on administrative leave pending an independent review. Translation: the liability math just turned nuclear. Her prized LinkedIn headline, "I earned CEO's trust faster than a product demo," now lives beneath an avalanche of clown emojis. Regulators circle, smelling an undisclosed relationship that could unravel every performance review, promotion, and termination she ever signed off on. Plaintiff firms tweet hotlines. Worked at Astronomer? We want your story. Inside Slack, faith in the system evaporates. Anonymous channels rename themselves #HugResources, reposting every unaddressed harassment complaint once buried under Cabot's watch. Memes of HR policy slides, maintain professional boundaries, get repurposed with her stadium hug freeze frame as the background. Without a credible HR, even mundane tasks, like approving PTO, feel radioactive. And while Cabot's lawyer drafts no-comment statements, employees ask the blunt question, if the watchdog is in the scandal, who polices the watchdog? Late-night comedy writers think they have the answer, and they're about to turn Astronomer's meltdown into punchline gold. The internet had already set the stage. Late-night TV simply added the laugh track. Jimmy Fallon opened with a glimmering grin, rolling a parody kiss cam that locked onto cardboard cutouts of CEOs hiding behind spreadsheets. Audience lost it. Stephen Colbert followed, deadpanning. Turns out HR stands for Hug Ready, before cueing a mashup of Coldplay lyrics reimagined as breakup emails. Even Saturday Night Live teased a sketch where the stadium cam morphs into a corporate deposition, complete with a fake Coldplay anthem called Fix You RAR Compliance. Meme accounts sprinted to keep up. Etsy shops pushed mugs that read Room 722 B&B. TikTok DIYers sold Coldplay Gate hoodies, and Twitter christened the saga with a new tag, #HRomance. Each joke cemented the scandal deeper into pop culture bedrock. Facts could be debated, punchlines just echoed until they sounded like gospel, and with every roar of laughter, Astronomer's four-sentence press silence felt less like strategy and more like an admission of guilt. Investors didn't hear jokes, they heard hemorrhaging brand equity. But comedy's half-life is short. Shareholder panic lasts quarters. Inside Astronomer's glass walls, the board was about to make a move that would shake the company harder than any monologue. 48 hours after the kiss cam lit up Boston, Astronomer's board emerged from its emergency bunker with an 8-line press release sharp enough to draw blood. Andy Byron had stepped down effective immediately. No gracious farewell, no pursuing new opportunities, just a deadpan email for media inquiries that instantly bounced back, mailbox full. Kristin Cabot, it added, was on administrative leave while outside counsel reviewed compliance matters. Into the vacuum stepped co-founder Pete DeJoy, title interim CEO, mission stop the bleeding. His first acts? Freeze discretionary spending, cancel the quarter's product roadshow, and hire a crisis comms firm so pricey their invoices arrived with carbon offsets. The investor call that followed felt less like reassurance and more like triage. DeJoy read a script about resilience, then opened the floor to raw panic. Enterprise clients demanded to know who'd been signing their SOC 2 paperwork, while HR hug-audited the boss at Coldplay. Venture whispers shaved 9 figures off Astronomer's private valuation overnight, and recruiters feasted on LinkedIn profiles with subject lines like, "Ready for life without midnight Slack pings?" Inside the company, Friday's all-hands turned into a Q&A brawl. Questions about rerunning performance reviews, equity cliffs, and whether bonuses were now non-core spend. DeJoy's answers were equal parts legalese and wishful thinking, and trust dashboards, once Byron's pride, flatlined in real time. Because the cruel irony of a data-driven culture is this: when its architect flames out on a stadium screen, every pretty metric feels rigged. And if a single 15-second hug can vaporize a decade of credibility, what's the true cost of living your brand in 4K? Stick around for the conclusion because we're about to tally the damage and reveal why the next viral implosion may already be buffering on your phone. One stadium smooch, a sea of smartphones, and a billion-dollar persona vaporized before the encore. Receipts trumped rhetoric, memes beat PR, and a single surname deletion hit harder than 12 years of glossy keynote speeches. When the guardian of company culture was caught cozying up to the boss, trust collapsed in real time and reminded us that in 2025, every public moment is potential evidence. So the next time you're at a concert, glance at the kiss cam and remember, the crowd isn't just cheering, it's recording. Power doesn't hide in boardrooms anymore, it hides briefly in plain sight until 1,000 lenses decide the narrative. If one viral clip can torch careers overnight, imagine what tomorrow's scroll might expose. If you want the next breakdown before it breaks the internet, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and buckle up, because the algorithm's already buffering its next implosion, and we'll be here to unpack it the second it drops.